What's up, everybody? Peter here, and welcome into the Fanaron. If you were joining me tonight, then this is episode 2 of my new series where I'm writing and developing my first feature film that I plan on filming in the next 6 to 8 months. This is a micro budget film, so I'm going to be trying to keep the budget under $30,000, $10,000 if I can play my cards right. And yeah, so if you saw episode 1, I went through the story idea, and then I fleshed out all of the beats in my outline, and that's available on the YouTube page. Tonight, I'm going to jump from the outline, and I'm going to start writing some of the screenplay. So I'm hoping I could get maybe 10 pages in tonight. That would be nice, but we're just going to play it by ear. Now, in between my last stream and my current stream, I started thinking about the characters, their motivations a little bit. I started thinking about why each character would act a certain way, and I wrote a couple of kind of descriptors for each character, for my two main characters, not the antagonist, but Chuck, who is a Marine, who's been selected for a special operations or special military position, and then Matt, who is kind of this disgruntled Marine who might be on his way out of the Marine Corps, and he's kind of like this obstacle that Chuck has to get around. So I started writing some little descriptors for these characters so I can kind of have a little bit better idea of how they would react in a certain situation, especially since I served in the Marine Corps and I have a lot of source material to go off of, both in leadership and in my peers. So it should be fun fleshing these characters out a little bit and kind of using what I know and taking elements from the people who I've interacted with and known in the Marine Corps and using those in the characters of this film. So the first thing I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go over one more time the main outline, not all the beats of the story, but the main outline. That way we all refamiliarize ourselves with it a little bit. Then I'll scroll all the way down and show you guys kind of the character descriptors that I have made, and then I'm going to jump into the screenplay. And I started the first page just to see where I could take things and to see if it was flowing okay. And then I had to stop because as soon as I got to the first character's dialogue, I was like, what's this character going to say? I don't even know this character that well yet. So I had to kind of go back and do a little bit of fleshing out of the characters. So when we go over to the screenplay, I'll read what I wrote, and then I'll just try to get into that flow zone and go from there. I'm going to try to be vocal and verbal during this, and if anybody has any comments or ideas, please put it in the chat, and I'm going to try to stay on top of that because I love collaboration. But also at the end of the day, this is my debut film. I'm planning on filming this as my first feature as a director. I've written over a dozen features, but they've all been huge budget, high concept ideas. So this is my first go at saying, I'm planning on filming this with basically zero resources. How can I make the story work, make us care about the characters, while also keeping it at such a low budget? Because I want to make a good film. I don't want to make a bad, like, B movie film that doesn't make any money. So this is going to be like me challenging myself and stretching my limits, similar to like what I did recently in the 48-hour film festival. It stretched me. It made me grow as a filmmaker and as an artist. And so that's why I'm piggybacking right into this, because I feel the bug. It's biting me, and I'm just going to go for it. So thanks for joining me on this journey. If you're here and you're interested in filmmaking and screenwriting and the creative process, and you just like cool original ideas and cool stories, hit subscribe, like the videos, and follow us, because on this journey, it's not just me. I'm trying to bring along all of my peers, my filmmaking friends, and all the people who are super talented and driven just like I am. And we're going to be making some films. We're going to be producing a couple of shorts. We're going to be producing this feature. And as soon as I get the ball rolling with this feature, I'm going to be documenting the whole thing, because you guys are here from the beginning. You saw the outline. You're about to see the writing of the screenplay. After that, it's storyboards and shot lists, and then the rest of my pre-production, some prep for my actor, and then I'm hopefully going to have some crew to be able to film some behind the scenes stuff while we're on set. So I've just loved filmmaking. I'm so passionate about it, and I'm glad that you guys are here with me to go on this journey with me. So without further ado, I'm gonna grab some water, and I'm going into my outline, baby. Okay, so I always start by doing this kind of big world outline. So we're starting with our ordinary world. We see our Marine, his name's Chuck. He's training to be the best infantry fighter in his platoon. He has not seen combat yet, but he's on track to be one of the top tier fighters in the Marine Corps. He's a good man trying to do what he thinks is best for his country. I'm going to add here, he's a little bit cocky because he's so good, and that he's still in infantry school. Now, my good friend Max, awesome producer, awesome actor. I think I'm gonna have him act in this film. So he looks a little bit younger. I think one of my pet peeves is when people cast like young people to play older people. Like if you're 18 years old, you're not gonna have a wife and kids, and you know, it's just kind of an amateur short film mistake. And I'm trying to like avoid those as I evolve in my career. So because my main actor he's not young, he's old enough to play this role, but he looks a little younger. So, and especially when I shave his face and give him a hindsight, he's gonna look pretty young. So I am writing that into the character. So I think that it's helping me shape the world a little bit. So he's going to be still in infantry school. Maybe he's like 2 years in. Maybe he goes to some type of special infantry school, or maybe even he's flight crew, because they train a lot more than infantry. Okay, I'm not going to dig too deep into that, but all I know is that he's newer to the Marine Corps, but because he is so proficient and he's kind of like the stellar Marine, he is looked at very well by the Marine Corps. He's up for promotions. He's outshining the rest of his Marines, and Marines don't like that when one of your peers outshines them and then they don't get any credit. So anyway, a little side note. Once we get to know this character, we're going to have that inciting incident. And right now, our inciting incident is that he is chosen to be a part of an elite private military program by his CO. He accepts and begins mentally preparing. So his acceptance into this journey is starting the story, essentially. We have a little bit of an intro of him. The inciting incident gets the story rolling. He says, yes, I would love to be a part of this program. And that's the choice that he makes in order to get the story going. So anyway, after he gets that acceptance, he has this want, this general goal. And his is to perform the best and become the elite fighter he knows that he can, and to serve his country. Then we have our stunning surprise. So after that, in the inciting incident, which is the choice, the surprise happens, which is something that happens to him. It typically makes the actor or the character go like gasp in surprise. It also hopefully is going to make the audience gasp in surprise, because it's supposed to, like, sometimes it's obvious if you know like what the story's about, but it's supposed to kind of exceed your expectations. Like it's not, you're not supposed to see it coming. And that really is something that helps roll into the next act. So his stunning surprise is he's kidnapped and taken to an undisclosed location and tied up by a terrorist. Now we've got Act 2. His specific goal is to survive the torture, the interrogation by this terrorist, to not give any secure information away, to like lean on his training, but he is only human. The special world, this new world that he's entered into, is being held in a warehouse somewhere undisclosed. His captor is torturing him. His captor begins questioning him, and he tries to stay true to his training and not give any information away. That midpoint. Ooh, I changed this, didn't I? I changed this down here. Ooh, okay, I'm glad I'm going through this. Oh, wait. Midpoint is actually now this. And this is the Stunning Surprise 2. I had an idea of what I wanted, but then as I started working on the story, and as the story kind of revealed itself to me, that changed. And that's one thing that I really try to do as a writer, is not like cling on to an idea or my babies. Like sometimes an idea will come to me and I will make an entire story around like a single scene, and then at the end of the day I end up cutting that out of the film because it doesn't serve the story, but it got the story rolling. And so my initial idea was to have the midpoint be the fact that it's revealed that our antagonist, Amir, is actually in the private military that Chuck is working towards, that Chuck just got accepted to, and that this is his training. That is now going to be Stunning Surprise number 2. But the midpoint is going to be this brutal murder of Matt. Matt is going to be taken along with Chuck by this terrorist and tortured with him, and that's going to be kind of like that humanity that we start to learn about Matt. That's his change. He cares, we learn that about Chuck. He cares about Matt. He's changing. And so the midpoint being Matt is killed by this terrorist. It hits Chuck hard, and that's kind of like where he really starts to become a new person. So then his need becomes to come to terms that war is brutal, and that this is part of being an elite fighter, and he realizes that his moral compass does not necessarily align with this private military organization or with the military in general. And then that Stunning Surprise 2 is going to be, we find out somehow that Amir is actually in this private military and that it's all been hoaxed, which the fact that he killed somebody in order to train another person, like it's brutal. Like that's something that would never actually happen in real life. But I think that's why this story kind of like works, is because it's the most extreme version of what Marines actually go through. Like Marines go through torture if they are selected to be in special ops, or Navy SEALs or paratroopers. That you have to be exposed to this in order to be trained for it. So, but this is, because it's a private military, a fictional private military, this is taking place in a much more realistic and brutal, non-realistic and brutal way that I think is going to really hold true to the story, to really make his moral compass a little bit more straight. And so then we enter into Act 3, which is just kind of the climax and conclusion. The conflict with our adversary is that he escapes his bindings and attacks the captor. He tries to escape. He's successful. He doesn't fail. But he doesn't want to kill Amir, but he has no choice. Amir tries to kill Chuck, and he has to defend himself. And so the return to ordinary world, he lost Matt. Then he had to kill. It was his first kill too, so it's probably going to be emotional for him. He tries to leave and run into the ordinary world. Maybe he has Matt on his back. And then he exits this dungeon area into a briefing room with dozens of special military members, and they're just clapping, standing ovation. That was the most badass training ops that they witnessed, and they watched for the last 3 days live as this brutality happened, and they're just like applauding it, which then also shows that like disconnect, that like you gotta have to be a sociopath a little bit in order to think that way, which is trained into you when you're in a program like this. And that's the end. It just ends on a close-up of Chuck's face. Maybe we start on a close-up of Chuck's face too. Good idea, Peter. Thanks, Peter. Okay, next I'm gonna run all the way down and show you guys what I wrote so far about the characters. We got Chuck. He loves the Marine Corps. All he does is train. He's a stand-up Marine. He's at the top of his class. He's in advanced infantry school training and is to be attached to a squadron. He is excited to be deployed and finally gets to see some action. He's cocky because he's so good. His sin is pride. He outshines the other Marines. He lets them all know about it, and because of this, he's hated. His want is to be the best of the best. His need is to put others before himself. His realization is when Amir talks about Chuck, how Chuck is getting what he deserves because he is the way that he is. And I wrote that because I'm like thinking about maybe Amir's kind of switch, because he's going to have this stark switch where he's not a terrorist anymore. He's actually like an American citizen. And that is, maybe during that interaction, he talks about how like, you deserve it. You deserve this. You deserve to be a part of this because you are badass. And Chuck is like, what? I don't want anything to do with you people. Like, you just murdered an innocent person in front of me. So I think that's kind of that realization. And then for Matt, I wrote that he's a disgruntled Marine. He hates the Marine Corps. He joined the Marine Corps because he grew up poor in a bad neighborhood. He wanted a brotherhood, and he was in the same platoon as Chuck, or the same class, but after a night of drinking, Chuck turned him in for a DUI. Now he's being processed out. He has nothing to lose. So I started thinking about like, why is he so mad? Like, first of all, I hated the Marine Corps, and I was a disgruntled Marine, but I was never disgruntled or mad at the people who I served with. It was always the leadership, because they promised one thing and then they never delivered, or they did something that they told us they weren't going to do. And then I was just treated like a child the entire time, because I wasn't an infantry Marine. I was avionics. So like, they basically messed with us just for the sake of it. But anyway, what was I going? I went on a little tangent there about, I think I blacked out there for a second. Oh yeah, I was saying that I was thinking about Matt. Why is he so disgruntled? And I think that if somebody who's supposed to be part of your brotherhood, somebody who's supposed to be a peer of yours, turns you in, they call that a blue falcon, because you're basically saying, fuck all y'all. That's what they say. So Chuck is a blue falcon. Matt is pissed. Matt's being processed out because Chuck turned him in. And I thought maybe that Matt has a reputation of being lazy. Maybe he's a little bit out of weight regs, and maybe he's on BCP, which is basically the training program that you have to be on if you don't meet weight requirements. And I think that's a good motivation for him to be so mad at Chuck. And then their interaction in the beginning will make more sense. He's not just being a dick. He has like a reason. Even though he was in the wrong, he still has a reason to be a dick. So anyway, I'm gonna take like a 5-minute break, and then I'm gonna jump right into the screenplay. So stick with me if you're here. If you're enjoying what I'm talking about so far, like and subscribe. I will be back in 5 minutes, and we'll jump right into it. All right, what's up? I'm back. That was less than 5 minutes. Ooh. All right. So, like I said, sorry about this. Like I said, I have the first page written. So let's just read what I wrote, and then we'll just go from there. So we're starting on a montage. Ooh, okay. So let me just put... This is going to be written slightly differently. I would normally write a screenplay without putting any type of like close-ups, wide shots, camera movements, but because I'm filming this and I am going to want to streamline the process, why write a film and then go and rewrite it with all of those things in there? So I'm just going to kind of, if I have something visually in my head that I'm thinking as a director while I'm writing, I'm going to write that in there. So, but be forewarned, if you're writing a spec script and you want to actually have proper formatting, that's not appropriate. You want to just literally explain the action on screen as clearly as possible without saying, you know, camera movement or close-ups, wide shots, medium shots, or showing any emotion of the characters, because that's for the actors. Like, you can explain what's happening and explain what the character's doing, but like, don't put angry. Like, somebody might interpret that differently, whether it's the director or the actor. So anyway, just side note. But okay, so we're gonna start, because of that, I'm gonna start with extreme close-up of Chuck's face. I'm the director, so I can do those things. He's determined. Is that an emotion though? It's not really an emotion. Like, that's kind of like the face. Like, he is like an emotional statement. So I'll try to avoid that. Or like, instead of saying he looks focused, his eyes are focused as he, boom, sprints through the O course. He's in an obstacle course, climbing over walls and logs, crawling through the dirt, and pulling himself up ropes. And then we cut to the exterior of the shooting range. Day, Chuck fires a rifle, hitting multiple bullseyes. Exterior military base. Day, Chuck runs through base in his skivvies. And in case you don't know, skivvies are the green shorts and green shirt that go underneath your camis. Exterior speed, shooting range. Like, I'm imagining one of those ranges that Keanu Reeves goes to, and like, he's hiding behind stuff and like poking out and shooting and picking up different guns and loading and unloading. We don't do that really in the Marine Corps, but maybe because he's training for like an advanced military platoon, or he's just like the stellar guy, he has access to that kind of stuff. So Chuck makes his way through a speed round, hitting every target, and then we're going to end the montage and cut to the back to the obstacle course at sunset, golden hour. It's going to look beautiful. Chuck finishes his workout as the sun sets over the horizon. He wipes the sweat from his brow with a towel and grabs his gear. He heads to his motorcycle parked in an empty parking lot next to the O course. As he packs his things into his saddlebags on his bike, another Marine, Matt, approaches him. Or we see Matt in the smoke pit. Because if you don't know, on a Marine Corps base, if you want to smoke a cigarette, there's a designated spot. You can't just like walk around and smoke. You have to go to the smoke pit. Which is why everybody smokes, because it's the only breaks you get. We see Matt in the smoke pit. See, now I know exactly what he's going to say, because it's something that I would have said. Now, a motard for those of you who don't have military experience, is someone who's so motivated that they sound retarded. And I mean that in the most respectful way. Like someone who literally lives, breathes, eats, and sleeps the Marine Corps, that's a motard. Like, I don't want anything to do with you, dude. Like, have a life. Have a life outside the Marine Corps. They're the guys who say, if the Marines wanted me to have a wife, they would have issued me one. Chuck. Stop short. Slowly peering over. The overweight, sloppy looking Marine as he pulls on his cigarette. Is Chuck going to react? Is he going to say something? Or is he going to be the bigger man? So he's not going to react. He's going to glare and then turn back to his things. So Matt flicks his cigarette. And approaches Chuck. And then Matt's going to basically pick a fight. And approaches and walks past Chuck towards his pickup truck in the lot. So it's not a completely empty lot, it's an almost empty lot because we've got a couple of cars there. Obviously the CO's car is going to be there. As he walks past Chuck, he's going to say like, is he going to instigate this? Wow, what's he going to say? Why? I'm going to put a placeholder here. It's not going to be the final thing. Definitely going to have to clean this up because your first draft is usually a vomit draft anyway. No, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to have him show a little bit of restraint there. All right. From this moment on, I am turning my Marine brain on. I think I'm a little bit cleaner and more mature than I was when I was in the Marine Corps. But when I'm writing about Marines, I know exactly how they would speak. So it's going to be a little bit vulgar. I'm assuming that this is going to be a rated R film. So if you have kids in the room, blindfolds. I'll try not to swear unless I'm reading, but actually, I'm just going to let the creative juices flow. Whatever happens, happens. I feel like he'd be more offended with the motard comments. All right. It's calling him, this is a placeholder. Lazy ass. Under his breath. Chuck clears for a moment. Actually, no. Matt flicks his cigarettes. Steps up to Chuck. Lazy ass. Matt flicks a cigarette and steps up to Chuck. Why are you still here anyway? Haven't you shown off enough? And walks past Chuck to his pickup truck in the lot. Sometimes this happens, guys. All right, so he's gonna say something about his mom, which triggers Matt. And then Chuck. Now, I think that a lot of people, if their mother was insulted, they would like get really defensive. But it's just words. And so this guy is an angry guy. He obviously takes everything personally. And then Chuck is just kind of playing with him. So Chuck just keeps hitting him with insults, and then Matt clenches his fist. He's about to hit Chuck. But Chuck, sly dog that he is, go ahead, hit me. You're on your way out of here anyway. What do you have to lose? Matt glares as Chuck looks calm and collected. Chuck leans in close and whispers in Matt's ear. CO has a How do you spell court-martial? Oh, it's a hyphenated word, okay. So Chuck motions in the direction of motions behind Matt, where the CO is leaning up against a building. The doorway to his office. Saving lines. Matt finally huffs and puffs, turns to his and marches to his truck, slamming the door and Starting the engines. Engines. Chuck smirks at him. Hoorah. Matt flicks Chuck off as he peels out of the lot. I gotta add gonna get some Marine Corps humor in there. Want it to be authentic. All right, so then Chuck looks back up at the CO, who motions for him to come. He, oops. Then turns and walks back into his office. Chuck sighs, then approaches the building. We're going to cut to interior CO office day. How's this going to transition? Chuck takes a seat. CO is typically a captain or major. Well, Matt, major. Ah, dang. Maybe it's lieutenant. How do you spell lieutenant? Lieutenant. Oh, there it is. L-I-E-U. Oh my gosh. Just getting your workout in, sir. Oh boy, we got freaking Robert in the house. What's going on, Robert? Thanks for joining me, man. Just in the middle of fleshing this feature film out, which is a perfect time to reiterate that I'm writing a micro-budget feature, bro. I am trying to film this thing in the next like 6 to 8 months, so clear your schedule. And you'll already know the story because you'll be following along and watching the stream, so I won't even have to send you the script. It's perfect. Thank you, dude. Robert says that he likes the idea. I like it too. Maybe other people might like it. I hope so. All right, so I'm jumping back in. So when you're talking to a sir, you're just very proper. Yes, sir. No, sir. Just getting a workout in, sir. Okay. All right, we got a beat in there just for pacing purposes. And like, if you're thinking like a director, if you're thinking about the pacing while you're writing the screenplay, it's always good to put some beats in there. Just, I mean, once again, I don't know if that's appropriate for a spec script. It might be, but definitely for a shooting script. Actually, I'm going to put that beat after here. And then Chuck's going to continue. Any word on my assignment, sir? So I'm just having them interact a little bit, play off of one another before we bring in that recruiter, that next beat of the story. Are you now? Haven't come this far just to stay in the schoolhouse. I'm ready for some action. Are you now? They stare at one another. Well, I'm actually glad you're here then. Well, I'm glad you're here then. I'm glad you're here. I was... What's the term? I was hoping you would be? No, because he knew. I knew you would be. I was counting on it. Actually. Chuck glares at him. suddenly a man in black. Okay, hold on. This guy is going to be part of this private military. So he is going to be dressed differently than the active duty guys. You know what? It's got to be a part of the Marine Corps. It can't just be a private military company, because they wouldn't train this guy for a year and a half and then just let him go to a private company. Like, unless they're willing to pay the contract off, because if you get a certain sum of money in your active duty, you can pay off your contract. So maybe that's part of the bonus. And maybe the money is really good too. Black tactical gear. Enters the room. Chuck snaps to attention. At ease, Sergeant. L-I-E-U-T-E-N-A-N-T. Why can't that just be spelled normal? Stands and shakes the man's hand. Then sits back down behind his desk as... Let me give this guy a name. We're gonna call this guy Pain. Pain. As Pain stands behind him. Chuck takes his seat, a blank stare, with a blank stare. Sergeant, this is... Now, what would you call... What are the ranks in a private military unit? Commander? Yeah, I like that. This is Commander Payne. Now, I have to think about... Oh, wow. I have to think about... a lot of things, apparently. Oh yeah, the name of the company. So let me look real fast. Bear with me, people. I'm looking for the inspiration right now to name this private military company that this man is being recruited into. It's got to be something cool, but realistic. So let's say... Some names of private military units include the Wagner Group, DynCorp, Constellus, G4S. The most famous is the Wagner Group, a Russian private military company known for its role in various conflicts. Okay. I can roll with that. Maybe instead of Wagner Group, I could call it a group. I guess I could call it a group. Or corporation. Here's some ideas. Kind of like something like Gray Wolf. Maybe I'll go with something more like... Instead of Gray Wolf, I'll pick something else. Black. What's another? Okay, not Panther. Why is coming up with a name more difficult than coming up with a story? That's so funny. I'll just go Gray Wolf, or maybe Black Wolf. Okay, I spent enough time on that. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We are outlining, or we're taking my outline of this micro-budget military feature, and I'm turning it into a screenplay. And that way I can film it in the next 6 to 8 months. So let's keep going. This is Commander Payne of Black Wolf International. Maybe he's silent in the background. they've been watching you while you've been training here. Watching me, sir? Black Wolf is a private military firm. And Commander Payne here is recruiting. Chuck glances back and forth between the two men. What does that have to do with me, sir? I can't join. I can't join a PMC until I'm a civvy. Again, a civvy is like civilian. It's like muggle when you're in the Marine Corps. Look, Sergeant. You're the best of your class. You're the top of your class. Top of your class. Look, Sergeant, you're at the top. You're the top of your class. Exactly. I want to be a Marine, not some contractor. I know, son. But you've got to know we have our limitations. We have our limitations. When the Corps When the core doesn't have authority? When the core doesn't have clearance? Who the hell do you think goes in and takes care of the job? We do. And we only want the best of the best. And they want you. Chuck contemplates. Hmm. I think that was a pretty good interaction, but I don't know how to transition back. Let me read this back. I think if I read it back, I might get a better handle on it. Interior CEO's office day. Chuck takes a seat. What the hell are you still doing here, Chuck? Just getting a workout in, sir. Again? You can never be too ready. Beat. Any word on my assignment, sir? Chomping at the bit. I haven't come this far to just stay in the schoolhouse. I'm ready for some action. Are you now? They stare at one another. Well, I'm glad you're here. I was counting on it, actually. Chuck glares at him. Suddenly, a man in black tactical gear enters the room. Payne. Chuck snaps to attention. At ease, Sergeant. The lieutenant stands and shakes the man's hand, then sits back down behind his desk as Payne stands behind him. Chuck takes his seat with a blank stare. Sergeant, this is Commander Payne of Black Wolf International. They've been watching you while you've been training here. Watching me, sir? Black Wolf is a private military firm. Commander Payne here is recruiting. Chuck glances back and forth between the two men. What does that have to do with me, sir? I can't join a PMC until I'm a civvy again. There are ways around that. Chuck glares at him. Look, Sergeant, you're the top of your class. Exactly. I want to be a Marine, not some contractor. I know, son. But you've got to know, we have our limitations. Chuck is silent. Should he interrupt here, or should he say something? Is he going to monologue about why he joined? Maybe he knows what a PMC is. Obviously he does. So he's not going to say, I joined to get some action. I'm not going to get any action. Like, that doesn't seem appropriate. But maybe he should say something. Chuck is silent. Payne says, when the Corps doesn't have clearance, who the hell do you think goes in and takes care of the job? We do. And we only want the best of the best. And they want you. Chuck contemplates. Maybe he just straight up comes up and asks. I don't get it. I don't get it. Am I being punished for something? Ooh. Am I getting separated? Am I being separated? Is this a punishment? Commander Payne slides a business card across the desk, face down. Does this look like a punishment to you? Chuck picks up the card and looks at it. His eyes widen. As he stares at the his eyes widen as he stares at it. Payne continues. That's your annual pay. And your, what do they call it when you're out of country and in a danger zone? A Marine gets extra pay for being in a war zone. Combat pay. Oh, yeah, combat pay. Plus we pay off your contract? Yeah. pay off your contract. Lieutenant says, Lieutenant adds in, you'll still have your honorable discharge. Chuck glances up at Payne. But my contract. Plus we pay off your contract. Payne says, what's the catch? Exterior. Parking lot. Day. And I'm going to go up and actually change this to parking lot. Oh, it's not day, it's sunset. Me silly. Not continuous. What time of day is this? This is something that, like, you got to pay attention to. I wrote an entire feature and then I had to go back and change all the timing and the days and the time of days and stuff because it didn't add up. Moments later. Thank you, Writer Duet. Writer Duet. Please sponsor me. Just kidding. We see, so we cut to an exterior shot of the parking lot. We see Chuck stand up. I'm picturing it. Why am I picturing it from an exterior view looking in? I don't even know if I'm going to have access to that. Duh. Got to think about the budget. Slowly stands. Commander Payne shakes Chuck's hand. What's the catch? Payne and the CEO smirk at each other. Your training starts immediately. Cut to, now we're going to go exterior shot, road, winding road, night. Or maybe evening. Evening, Governor. I love those slam cuts. Here we go, slam. Okay. We got Chuck speeds through down the mountain road with a huge smile. He screams. He hoots and hollers. He lets out an excited scream as he rides. I mean, that might take 30 seconds. But it's one line. Okay. I'm on page 6. I think I'm doing pretty good. Let's just keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling, baby. Exterior parking lot. Not parking lot. Gas station. Night. So time passed. He rode. He's excited. Let's go. He's at the gas station. It's nighttime. Chuck pulls in and parks the bike, motorcycle next to a pump. He takes off his helmet. As he takes off his helmet, we see Matt's truck pull in. Okay, so when they're both taken by the van, I'm imagining they're like tussling and fighting, and the camera's like square on them. And then in the background, right behind them, kind of out of focus, a van pulls in, the doors open, and then they black sack them, and then they pull them into the van. So I don't want Matt to show up in the same way. Matt pulls in angrily. He boom, boom, jumps the curb, parks sideways. He's drunk. Oh, that's good. That's like a callback. Okay, cool. Mac's truck jump the curb and parks diagonally Diagonally? Diagonally. In 2 spots. Matt sloppily opens the door to his truck and almost falls out. He stumbles around, clearly buzzed. Chuck storms over. It wasn't enough. So now Chuck initiates this fight. Initially, I imagined that Matt would come up and just like clock him, but I think the fact that like in this backstory of these characters, Chuck is the one who actually turns Matt in and gets him kicked out for a DUI, and now Matt's drunk again. And I think that that's a pretty cool dynamic where if we stick with that, that's a cool callback and it adds to the story. Wasn't enough to get caught the first time? Matt swings around. Matt turns. I'm just like, turns is so boring. I didn't get caught, Falcon. I didn't get caught. You threw me under the bus. Chuck pushes Matt against his truck hard. That's because you're a disgrace to this uniform. Take that shit off. Matt stares blankly at Chuck. okay, so Chuck yells at him. He's pissed now. Take it off. Matt lifts himself off of the hood of his truck and slowly takes off his blouse, which is what they call the shirt in the Marine Corps. It's a blouse, just to keep you a little bit humble. Now, this is actually a perfect moment to show Chuck's cockiness. Maybe he has a little bit of a monologue here where he actually like talks down to him. You're a real piece of work, you know that? How dare you blame me for being You're gonna blame me for your dumbass mistake? No wonder. So now he's talking down. He's like, you always made things worse. You always slowed us all down. You always slowed us all down. I think that, okay, I'm imagining that one of the realizations that Matt has, or that Chuck has, sorry, one of the realizations that Chuck has is something that Amir says to him, that you're gonna get exactly what you deserve. So because I'm imagining that line, I'm putting it here, boom, right here, kind of as a setup, because that'll be a nice payoff at the end. Things can change. Because what I love to do is I make the outline, I know where I'm going, and then I kind of let the story evolve, and then I sometimes have to go back to the outline and adjust it a little bit, but you gotta have the roadmap, you know? Suddenly, Matt punches Chuck right in the face. Chuck falls to the ground. Dazzled? He looks up at Matt, who is towering above him in a dominating way, now wearing boots and utes. Boots and utes is skivvy shirt tucked in with your utility pants on and your boots bloused. So visually, like you can see kind of like, well, this guy's supposed to be out of shape, but still, he's standing, towering above him, showing that he has dominance over him in this moment. But my boy Chuck, he is a stellar Marine. He's just going to do a little foot sweep. Chuck foot sweeps Matt. Taking him to the ground. They both manage to pull themselves up and go at it again. They grab one another. Like two boxers in a ring. Well, actually, no, because that's kind of a technique when you're tired. As they wrestle, we see an unmarked white van. Okay, I'm actually going to make that all capitals. Unmarked white van pull up directly behind them. The van door slides open and masked men, black bag, both Chuck and Matt, pulling them into the vehicle, then peeling away. Cut to black. And then when we cut to black, I was imagining that we just hear a lot of stuff happening while they're being transported. Well, actually, some time is going to pass. Is it going to be a warehouse? Is this going to be a, like, prison cell? He looks around. His surroundings. The concrete cell. Is it going to be a concrete cell, or am I doing this at Daniel's house in his garage? I'm going to make it has some clutter. Okay. Now I have to think logistically. This is the end of Act 1. So we've got Act 1 written out. We got it on 7 pages. It's a little short, but I'm imagining that it'll probably stretch to 10 minutes and then Act 2 will start. My second run through, I might be able to add a little bit, but I think that this is a good start at least. I want to continue to vomit it out. And let's see. So I now have to think of my main location, because that first act is, I'm basically going to film it on base. I'm going to try to figure out how I can get on base, and or at least for part of it. And then if I need to, I could find like the interior of an office to do the CO scenes. But for the remainder of this film, they're going to be in the same location. They're going to be in this kind of like prison cell or warehouse. But I have to imagine now, like, it was built specifically for this by this private military company that has a lot of money. So it's not just going to be like a warehouse, like someone's garage. So I would actually have to probably build a few drop away walls and make them look concrete, or find a location that is concrete. I think it would probably be better if I built something. This is probably where the majority of my funds are going to go to. Okay, I'm going to write it as a concrete prison cell with another cell directly next to it. But if I have to change things because of the low budget aspect of this film, then I'm going to make it a warehouse. Just a clean warehouse. I'm going to do a prison cell. It has to be a small enclosed area, because it has to, he has to be able to like hear Matt in a room next to him and communicate to him. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit more, and then I'm probably going to call it for the night, because I'm getting close to my 10-page mark, which was my goal. I could probably keep going, but I'm also getting a little bit tired, and if anything, I will be back on at some time either tomorrow or Thursday during the day in order to just continue, maybe get another 5 or 6 pages done. So in the meantime, let me just set the stage for this Act 2 and then come to a stopping point. The warehouse has some clutter. I'm going to say prison cell. The small cell is basically empty, other than a metal surgical table. Then Chuck glances down. Chuck tries to stand up, but he is bound to his chair. He snaps his head down, inspecting his bindings, his zip tie, and rope bindings. He pulls on them hard, trying to break free, to no avail. And then we're gonna go, I'm gonna do a close-up, extreme close-up. Of a weak point in the of his hands tied together. Let me look at my outline, the beats of my outline real fast. A man dressed in Arabic clothing storms in the room. Oh wait, okay. He's alone, he screams, no one comes. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Dang. Said I was gonna get 10 pages tonight. I'm at 7. Yeah. He pants and struggles to move. Then suddenly he loses his balance and... Ooh, I just killed a mosquito in mid-air. What the heck? That was sick. The things that surprise me and excite me. He pants and struggles to move, then suddenly he loses his balance and falls flat on his side. He writhes in pain Chuck tries to catch his breath. His eyes wander as he works through the details of his situation in his own head. Suddenly, oh hey, look, somebody is commenting. What up, AJ? Glad to have you here, man. I'm finishing up for the night, dude. I'm on page 8 right now, baby. Thank you for coming in, man. So, yeah, actually, this is a good point to give some cliff notes. Right now, we just finished writing Act 1, and I'm going into Act 2. I'm using the outline from the first episode, and I'm just kind of like pantsing it from the flow that I have, from the roadmap that I have from the outline. I'm kind of letting my own flow take the character based off of like people who I know and my own experiences, and I'm just I'm getting it down on paper. So my goal tonight was to get 10 pages done. I'm on page 8, so I got like 2.5 more pages to write. I was gonna call it quits, but I'm gonna power through and get it to 10 pages, and then I'm gonna pass out because I've been up since mad early. But for now, dude, thanks for being here. You're like my biggest fan. I love you, dude. I'm going back to Rider Duet. When I come to a closing point, I'm going to go back. I'm going to read all 10 pages, and that way you can kind of get the gist of everything. And it'll be a good closure for me to kind of end the stream on that. Okay, we got suddenly. A man in a full terrorist garb, uniform, from head to toe, storms into the room. Hey, what the fuck is happening? Who are you? He's pissed. He's captured. He's just woke up in this prison cell, and he's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. We can only make out the man's eyes through a hijab. Hijab? What is that thing called? Sorry, I'm not up to speed. What is the headdress called that Muslims wear? Someone might say it in the chat before I can actually. It's a hijab, not a hijab. There we go. I'm gonna write his name in here. Amir. We can only make out Amir's eyes through a hijab on his head as he flips Chuck onto his back. Oh, I really wanted him to waterboard him in this situation, but you need more than one person to do that, and this is going to be one person, so he can't waterboard him. Unless he has some type of crazy waterboarding device. Like something that like straps over his head. Okay. I'm thinking of a way to water. AJ, if you're still there, help me out. Thinking of a way that Amir can waterboard Chuck without requiring somebody else to hold the towel down on his face. So it's got to be something where he can like put something on his face with one hand and pour the water with the other hand. So maybe we're gonna come up with a new way to torture people here, right here together, just for the sake of art, though. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, AJ, I love you, man. He found something. Right now I'm just writing that he grabs a piece of cloth. Yeah, his arms are going to be down. They're tied down or behind him or like onto the chair so he can't move. I just need a way to be able to do this with one person. And he ends right now, I mean, you're here, you're following along. He falls, he's on his side, and then Amir comes in, flips him to his back, so it's perfect. He doesn't even need to like have somebody help him tip him back or anything like that. So Amir grabs a piece of cloth, shoves it over Chuck's mouth. AJ, did you send me something? AJ, text it to me. Then grabs a gallon of water. I guess all these things were in the room already? And begins pouring it over Chuck's. Come on. Face. Chuck chokes and struggles as he is waterboarded. All right, so he's being waterboarded by this terrorist, supposed terrorist. He's confused. What do you want? He is interrupted by another pouring. Chuck spits up water in an attempt to breathe. Then Amir covers his face again, and continues pouring water over him. Amir lets him breathe for a moment. After the entire gallon of water is gone, Chuck coughs up the last of the liquid in his lungs. Amir throws the bottle away, and as Chuck struggles, he lifts the chair back up, checks the bindings, then storms out of the room, slamming and locking the door behind him. Uh-oh. The door behind him. Chuck tries catching his breath. All right, on a side note. Oh, okay. Oh, so you don't need to like hold the towel down. Oh, look, and here's a picture of this guy. Okay. Thank you, AJ. I don't think I should show this on a stream. Oh wait, I'm already looking at it, huh? Oopsie. Well, that was a mistake. But that's okay. Now I have a better idea of how I can get this done. So Chuck tries catching his breath. Let me go back to my outline real fast. Okay, so at this point, he hears Matt through the wall. So I'm gonna write that out, and then we're gonna have a little bit of an interaction with Matt there. But once again, I'm just trying to get this down right now. I feel like it's going pretty quickly. I feel like, because I'm already kind of like well into Act 2, the first half of Act 2. And I feel like I should be on page like 20 by this point. So I'm definitely going to have to go back. After I get my first vomit draft done, I'm going to have to go back and dial it in a little bit. Or make sure that this is the whole story that I want to tell. Because I don't want to drag it out just for the sake of dragging it out if the story doesn't call for it. So I have to make sure, obviously, that I'm writing a feature film here, so I have a little bit of a of a priority in length, but I don't want to just fill it with fluff. I want every second to count. So if it's too short, I'm gonna have to go back and reevaluate. But in the meantime, I'm gonna just keep going, try to get to that page 10 for tonight. Finally, he stops, panting. He didn't even ask me anything. What the hell is happening? His voice echoes in the prison cell. We stay there for a beat, then suddenly Chuck perks up. As if he is... Oh wait, actually, suddenly we hear the faint call of someone outside of the room. Faint and muffled. Thank you, AJ. You're the man. Chuck perks up. He looks around, then becomes as still as a statue. As he tries to hear Matt's voice. So now the second time we hear it, it's a little bit more hollow because we're going to kind of focus in on some type of a pipe in the wall. Chuck notices a small pipe sticking out of the wall next to him. he hyper focuses on it, and then we're gonna say, I'm gonna put in a camera move here. I'm gonna say vertigo effects. Vertigo effect. Dolly in. I'm gonna make anything that is a camera movement, which once again is not supposed to be in here, but because I'm shooting this, I'm adding it in because I'm making it in my head as a director as I'm writing it, and I'll probably end up publishing a draft of this that is not a shooting script, that is a spec script, just for formatting purposes. He hyper focuses on the pipe. The pipe. Vertigo effect dolly in. We hear through the pipe, we hear, is anybody there? So Chuck's a little excited about this. Chuck sighs in relief. Smirking for a moment. Then he looks down at his bindings again. He swings his body toward the pipe, slower this time. He scoots 3 times until he is close enough to the pipe where he can peer through with his eye. We see through the pipe. So this is, I think, a really cool shot that I'm imagining is him, like, so he scoots over, he makes it to the pipe, and then he peers through, and the camera looks through a pipe, and then we can, okay, once again, dude, I love thinking like a director, because now the framing of somebody, if somebody is framed within the frame, it makes them feel trapped. So they're literally in prison. So seeing, literally, it's gonna be like this much of the frame where you see this character through the pipe. It's gonna be epic. We see through the pipe Matt bound to a chair just like Chuck. Maybe Matt's like kind of disappointed at first. So Matt says, "Oh fuck, it's you." And Chuck, "Are you like?" Maybe he's gonna say like, "Are you serious right now?" But he catches his tongue. Takes a deep breath and sighs. All right, so this is going to show his first sense of like morality. He actually, or should it be? Should he still be that cocky Marine at this point? I don't know. We're gonna see. They broke my arm, but they didn't ask me anything. What the hell's going on, Chuck? How am I supposed to know? Oh, okay. Matt's sarcastic. Even in this situation, he can be sarcastic. Thought you knew everything. You're such a piece of shit. You know that? And then suddenly, we hear the door slam open in Matt's room. We barely see as Amir grabs Matt and drags him away. Chuck is concerned. We hear Matt scream. No. We hear Matt's chair being thrown to the floor. And then we're going to hear Matt muffled. Actually, I could just write it down. Then he screams in agony, followed by the sound of water followed by... How do I word this? We hear Matt's chair being thrown to the floor. He screams in agony. Then we hear him choke and spit up water. Chuck looks away. So I have it written in there that, in the outline at least, that, let me go to the outline real fast. I have it written in the outline that Amir doesn't know that Chuck and Matt know about each other until here, right before it happens. But if he is yelling through this, then that doesn't make any sense, because Amir's going to hear him, unless he's so focused on the torture. So Chuck knows there's nothing he can do about it, so instead of screaming and crying about it, he kind of flinches. What is this called when you're going, when you can't take it? It's not flinching. It's like grimacing. Grimacing at the noise. All right. I'm on page 10. 10 pages in, what is it? It's been about almost 3 hours. 10 pages in 3 hours. That's not bad. If I keep this up, I should have the screenplay done in a couple months. Okay, after this, cringing. I like that. I like that. I like that better than grimacing. Cringing at the noise. Thank you. Okay, so after this, what's going to happen? He is going to Amir's going to come back to Chuck. So, but we'll probably have a moment where Chuck's alone. We should have probably at this point a moment where him and Matt kind of like have this bonding moment. As of right now, they just bicker at each other like a married couple. So we probably need to build that relationship a little bit more. But right now, in the meantime, I think that I'm at a stopping point. It's been about 3 hours. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread from the beginning, just to kind of get a sense and, like I said, to get some closure. So read with me, people. Read with me. If you're not already listening to some dark ambient music in the background, now would be a good time to put it on. That's what I'm listening to. I will read it all, AJ. Come on. Okay, here we go. Montage. Exterior, obstacle course day. We start with an extreme close-up of Chuck's face. That's important because that's also going to be the last shot of the film. His eyes are focused as he sprints through the obstacle course, climbing over walls and logs, crawling through the dirt, and pulling himself up ropes. Exterior, shooting range, day. Chuck fires a rifle, hitting multiple bullseyes. Exterior, military base, day. Chuck runs through the base in his skivvies. Exterior, speed shooting range, day. Chuck makes his way through a speed round, hitting every target. End montage. Exterior, parking lot, sunset. Chuck finishes his workout as the sun sets over the horizon. He wipes the sweat from his brow with a towel and grabs his gear. He heads to his motorcycle, parked in an almost empty lot next to the O course. Almost empty. As he packs his things into his saddlebags on the bike, we see Matt in the smoke pit. Motard. Chuck stops short, slowly peering over at the overweight, sloppy-looking Marine as he pulls out on his cigarette. Lazy ass. Matt flicks his cigarette and walks past Chuck to his pickup truck in a lot. What are you still doing here anyway? Haven't you shown off enough? Chuck glares for a moment, cracks a smile, then turns back to his things. I actually was just on my way to your mom's place. Matt puffs his chest up and gets in Chuck's face. Oh, so that's what sets you off? Yeah, it'll be the third time this week. Matt clenches his fist. He's about to hit Chuck. Go ahead, hit me. You're on your way out of here anyways. What do you have to lose? No thanks to you, Falcon. Matt glares at Chuck as Chuck looks calm and collected. Chuck leans in close and whispers in Matt's ear. And the CO will have a front row seat to your court-martial. Chuck motions behind Matt where the CO is leaning up against the doorway to his office. Matt finally huffs and puffs as he marches to his truck, slamming the door and starting the engine. Chuck smirks at him. Oorah! Matt flicks Chuck off as he peels out of the lot. Chuck looks back up at the CO, who motions for him to come. Then he turns and walks back into his office. Chuck sighs, then approaches the building. Cut to interior, CO's office. Moments later. Chuck takes a seat. What the hell are you still doing here, Chuck? Just getting a workout in, sir. Again? You can never be too ready. We sit for a beat. Any word on my assignment, sir? Chopping at the bit, huh? Huh? Well, I didn't come this far just to... I didn't. I didn't come this far just to sit on my ass in the schoolhouse. I didn't come this far just to sit on my ass in the schoolhouse. I'm ready for some action. Are you now? They stare at one another. Well, I'm glad you're here. I was counting on it, actually. Chuck glares at him. Suddenly, a man in black tactical gear enters the room. Payne. Commander Payne. Chuck snaps to attention. At ease, Sergeant. Ooh, sorry. The lieutenant stands and shakes, say the CO, because I've been calling him the CO this whole time. The CO stands and shakes the man's hand, then sits back down behind his desk as Payne stands behind him. Chuck takes his seat with a blank stare. Sergeant, this is Commander Payne of the Black Wolf International. Black Wolf International. They've been watching you for a while. They've been watching you while you've been training. Watching me, sir? Black Wolf is a private military firm, and Commander Payne here is recruiting. Chuck glances back and forth between the two men. What does that have to do with me, sir? I can't join a PMC until I'm civvy again. There are ways around that. Chuck glares at Payne. Look, Sergeant, you're the top of your class. Exactly. I want to be a Marine, not some contractor. I know, son, but you've got to know we have our limitations. Chuck is silent. When the Corps doesn't have clearance, who the hell do you think goes in and takes care of the job? We do, and we only want the best of the best. Beat. And they want you. Chuck contemplates. I don't get it. Am I being separated? Is this punishment? Commander Payne slides the business card across the desk, face down. Does this look like punishment to you? Chuck picks up the card and looks at it. His eyes widen as he stares at it. But my contract, that's your annual pay and your combat bonus at the bottom. Plus, we pay off your contracts. You'll still have your honorable discharge. Chuck glances up at Payne. He slowly stands, raising his eyebrow, and reaches his hand out to shake. Commander Payne shakes Chuck's hand. What's the catch? Payne and the CEO smirk at each other. Your training starts immediately. Slam cut 2. Exterior. Winding road, evening. Chuck speeds down the mountain road with a huge smile on his face. He lets out an excited scream as he rides. Cut 2. Exterior gas station, night. Chuck pulls in and parks the motorcycle next to a pump. As he takes off his helmet, we see Matt's truck jump the curb and park diagonally in 2 spots. Matt sloppily opens the door and almost falls out. He stumbles around, clearly buzzed. Chuck storms over. Hey, shithead! Are you serious right now? It wasn't enough to get caught the first time? I didn't get caught. You threw me under the bus. Chuck pushes Matt against the truck hard. That's because you're a disgrace to this uniform. Take that shit off. Matt stares blankly at Chuck. Take it off! Matt lifts himself off the hood of his truck and slowly takes off his blouse. You're a real piece of work. You know that? You're gonna blame me for the dumb... for... the dumb shit you do? No wonder. You were never meant to be a Marine in the first place, and now you're gonna get exactly what you deserve. Suddenly, Matt punches Chuck right in the face. Chuck falls to the ground, dazzled. He looks up at Matt, who's towering above him in a dominating way, now wearing boots and utes. Chuck foot sweeps Matt, taking him to the ground. They both manage to pull themselves up and go at it again. As they wrestle, we see an unmarked white van. We suddenly see an unmarked white van pull up directly behind them. The van door slides open, and a masked men black bag both Chuck and Matt, pulling them into the vehicle, then peeling away. Cut to black. Interior, prison cell. We don't know if it's day or night now. The black bag is pulled off of Chuck's head. He looks at his surroundings. The small cell is basically empty, other than a medical surgical table. Chuck tries to stand up, but he's bound to his chair. Chuck tries to stand up, but he's bound to his chair. He snaps his head down, inspecting his zip tie and rope bindings. He pulls on them hard, trying to break free, to no avail. Extreme close-up of his hands tied together. Tied to the chair. Hey, help! Silence. He notices a door directly in front of him and attempts to jump in his chair towards it. He pants and struggles to move, then suddenly he loses his balance and falls flat on his side. He writhes in pain. What the hell's going on? Hello? Beat. Chuck tries to catch his breath. His eyes wander as he works through the details of his situation in his own head. Panicked? Is that how you spell panicked? Suddenly, a man in full terrorist uniform, Amir, storms into the room. Hey, what the fuck is happening? Who are you? We can only make out Amir's eyes through a hijab on his head as he flips Chuck onto his back. Untie me, you fuck! Let me out of here, now! Amir grabs a piece of cloth, shoves it over Chuck's mouth, and then grabs a gallon of water and begins pouring it over Chuck's face. Chuck chokes and struggles as he is waterboarded. Amir lets him breathe for a moment. What do you want? He's interrupted by another pouring. Chuck spits up water in an attempt to breathe, then Amir covers his face again and continues pouring water over him. After the entire gallon of water is gone, Chuck coughs up the last of the liquid in his lungs. Amir throws the bottle away as Chuck struggles. He lifts the chair back up. Ooh, okay, this is like a run-on sentence. He lifts the chair back up, checks the bindings, then storms out of the room. Amir throws the bottle away as Chuck struggles. He lifts the chair back up, checks Chuck's bindings, then storms out of the room. The door slams and locks behind him. Chuck tries catching his breath. Finally, he stops panting. He didn't even ask me anything. What the hell is happening? His voice echoes in the prison cell. Beat. Suddenly, we hear the faint call of someone outside of the room. Hello? Chuck peers up. He looks around, then becomes as still as a statue as he tries to hear Matt's voice. Hello? Chuck notices a small pipe sticking out of the wall, next to him. He hyper-focuses on the pipe. We have a vertigo effect dolly in. Is anybody there? His eyes widen. Hello? Yes! Chuck sighs in relief, smirking for a moment, then he looks down at his bindings again. He swings his body towards the pipe. slower this time. More controlled. He scoots 3 times until he's close enough to the pipe where he can peer through with his eye. We see through the pipe, Matt bounds to a chair just like Chuck. Ah, fuck, it's you? Are you serious? Chuck catches his tongue. He takes a deep breath and sighs. Are you hurt? They broke my arm, but they didn't ask me anything. What the hell's happening? What the hell's going on? What the hell is this? How am I supposed to know? I thought you knew everything. Oh, are you kidding me? You're such a piece of shit, you know that? Suddenly, we hear the door slam open in Matt's room. To Amir, Matt says, Suddenly, we hear the door slam open in Matt's room. What do you want, fucker? Do you know who I am? We barely see as Amir grabs Matt and drags him away. Matt, hello! We hear Matt's chair being thrown to the floor as he screams in agony. Then we hear him choke and spit up water. Chuck looks away, cringing at the noise. All right, and I'm halfway done with page 10. All right, now I gotta read, what did you say, AJ? Think you need more to build up Act 2. It feels a bit sparse to be even 30 minutes if you show and don't tell. I agree. Thank you, man. Major pain. Love it. Yes, I agree with you, dude. Like, especially after reading it, I'm like well into Act 2 at the moment, and it's only 10 minutes long. And really, okay, it's probably more like 15 minutes long, but it should be like 20 minutes to the surprising, the stunning surprise number 1. Probably like 15 or 20 minutes at that point, and I've already had a couple minutes in here. But I was saying earlier that I think that I really want to vomit it out. I have the outline. I want to see how many pages I can get and how I can let this characters evolve and really just like become real. Maybe I'll discover something that I am not thinking of now, but if I follow that outline, that initial idea, and things change, I'm all open for it. So, but for now, once again, just going to try to get that written out as well as possible and let the characters kind of just like form themselves. But anyway, 10 pages, 3 hours. I think that's pretty good progress. If you're just joining us now, this was episode 2, writing my micro-budget military feature film. And next time I get on, I'm just like today, I'm jumping right into the script starting on page 10. And I'll probably try to get another 5 or 6 pages next time I write, which I believe I'm going to get on either tomorrow or Thursday. And if I can stay consistent with this, I think that by the end, like within a month, I'll have at least a draft done, and then I can go back and refine it and make it longer and add to the story a little bit. Get a job, bro. You get a job, bro. I've got many jobs, but I still find time to do this because this shit's important to me. And yeah, I don't have to tell you about that. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you, AJ, for all of the help and the inspiration. If you're liking this content and you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I super appreciate it. It's going to help my channel grow and allow me to do this more often. And I hope that you're excited for Tip of the Spear when it comes out. I just got to keep it going. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.